All right, everybody. It's another week, and this is this week's episode of the Nerd Eye Council.
Here's our intro music. Da, 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 da. Rolf is back. In the house, we have a special guest.
Oh, I'm a special guest.
You're in your seat.
I'm in my seat.
Wreck-It Ralph's got 10 or 15 minutes.
I got 10, 15 minutes. And then
So
I
you-
gotta get back to the hood.
So you know it's a special occasion, because if you don't know by now, this week was basically Star Wars week. With Star Wars Celebration kind of capping off the week.
Yep.
But the big news of the day was the Star Wars Episode 8 teaser trailer dropped today. And we will be talking a lot about that, our reactions and so
I'm
on and
gonna
so
go
forth.
last. You motherfucker.
All right.
What do you think? Somebody.
So yeah, we'll get right on into it.
Dude, I don't know, man. It was good. I like the red.
Yeah.
Star Wars red. That was cool.
Yeah, it did have a nice look to it.
What's up with Rey being choked out at the beginning, though? What's up with that, dude? Maybe that's not her dad. Maybe they just got done doing some X-rated shit. I'm just saying, you never know. But it was cool.
She's like, apparently you're not my daddy.
Dude, what if that is fucking like somebody else's daughter that's like he fucking hates and he saw her and he knows exactly who it is and he's just like, choking her out.
Like we see episode 8 start with him still
It's like my kids. It's like
her
my
still
kids.
trying to hand his lightsaber over and then he's like
It's like my kids. Every time I look at him, I see my ex-wife. I'm just like, fucking no kids. You didn't do nothing wrong. It's what your mother did.
they're like, that's not how the Force works, Dad! That's not how the Force works.
Shit. I liked it though. I liked it. It was cool.
I thought for 2 minutes it was really brief.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's entitled a teaser trailer, and it is because we haven't gotten shit yet. This is the first, but a 2-minute trailer where I don't know, man. It felt like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Anybody feel like?
I kept looking at the time as it was.
I mean, it was awesome. I'm not saying it wasn't awesome. It was fucking awesome. But I was like, I looked at the time when it was almost over, and I'm like, wow, it was 2 minutes. It didn't feel like 2 minutes.
They could have
Yeah.
some stuff out, like the black guy sleeping. We see that all the time. Black guy sleeping.
Yeah. Especially down in Gary.
I don't know about that. They know where I live.
I thought there was some really cool. Rey looked cool. I thought the scene with her running with the lightsaber,
Yeah, that was cool.
was kick ass. What's she fucking running from? Was immediate thought was like,
Or running too.
or running too. Yeah, it
Yeah.
could have been like maybe someone's in needs help
Mhm.
or is in trouble.
Right.
All right, so here's my bitch.
All right.
Here's my one bitch. Pretty big bitch. Might go on for a while. So, Luke Skywalker, fucking 1983. I haven't seen Luke Skywalker since 1983.
Mm-hmm.
I have waited this long, up until 2 years ago, to see Luke Skywalker. The movie started, I waited. Episode 7, I saw Luke look at me and say nothing! He was looking right at me, too. He wasn't
Like a
looking
handless
right.
hand job, bro.
So I'm like, okay, fuck, 2 years from now, I'll see Luke in action. For the past 6 months, since December. Can't wait to see that trailer, man, where Luke's doing this and that, and oh man, it's gonna be so fucking... We saw his fucking shadow!
Yeah, but Rogue One, though, we didn't think Vader was going to do anything, and he kicked ass at the end.
But from everything I can tell, I mean, that he is a key figure in this movie.
Yes.
And I guess you could say that was 7 too, the way they played it. He was a key figure, but you didn't see him. The way I just thought this trailer was going to be Luke heavy. And I'll tell you what, man, I know we got more trailers coming. Fuck you, Disney. I'm just saying, man, I have lost, I can't wait no more. Of the past, 2 weeks, I'm like, I just cannot wait to see Luke Skywalker in action. Because we knew this trailer was coming. And this is all we got of Luke.
Yeah.
I've watched the trailer 3 times now. All you see of Luke is at the very end. What does he say?
Well, there's a voice at the end, and I don't know if it's Luke. I think it's Snoke. But there's
Walking out of the cave, that scene?
That was Luke standing there, but
no, yeah. That was Luke standing there, but it felt like there was somebody else talking. Like I thought it was Snoke.
Yeah, there was a lot of weird voices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because toward the end, I think one of the key takeaway lines from this whole trailer was, there is one truth that I know, is that the Jedi must end.
Yeah, how fucked up is that? How crazy is that? I know you don't fucking care, you smuggler over there. But when I heard that, I was like, wow. I mean, I know where they're going. I do understand. Like, Disney is... I don't know where they're going exactly, but they're breaking away from the Sith and the Jedi. And they're going to, hopefully, by 9, like, tell us why that needed to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get it in 8. I think there's going to be more, like... mystery, like Luke's gonna say this, hey, the blah blah blah, the Order was lost in its ways and blah blah blah. I don't think we're gonna figure out like why the Sith and the Jedi have disappeared till the end of the saga. I'm gonna call Disney out on their shit, alright? And I know this is not a very successful formula because Disney's usually fucking right. I think they dropped the ball a little bit on this trailer. I think it should have been more Luke heavy. I think people are pining for Luke. I know I'm not the only... Dude, how epic would it have been? All you had to show me, other than that little silhouette of him standing in the cave. You don't want to go Luke heavy? Okay. All you had to show me was, instead of that being the end scene, close-up of his face, he says something fucking epic, and you see the green blade light up.
You're going to get your Luke-gasm. You're going to get it. I mean, just like Darth Vader, dude. Everyone was all like, we need more Vader. We need more Vader. And then at the end, during the movie, it was like, holy fuck. And that's when, that's your Luke-gasm right there.
I'll tell you what, though, and I know we're going to see more of Luke than what we saw of Vader in Rogue One.
Yeah.
But that mentality scares me a little bit. That mentality, like Disney said, oh, well, fuck, we only showed Vader twice in Rogue One, and they ate that shit up.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I'll let you know.
I need a story about Luke Skywalker.
I'll give you the story the day before the movie comes out. You know I always do, guys. You know I always have the
Well, if it ain't you, it'll be Joe.
Whoa, is that a Red Bull in your hand?
Yeah.
Holy shit, Nate.
I know, times are changing.
Hey, man.
I'm pumping iron in parking lots. He's drinking Red Bull.
It's 2 for $5.50.
You're wearing a fucking smock? What the hell happened?
It's 2 for $5.50, and you ain't there, motherfucker.
What the fuck happened? Gone for a month.
It's like, thank you for the Red Bull.
Wow.
Yeah, I was cashier all fucking day.
Yeah.
That's why we're starting late.
Right, so and your gripe is legitimate because if you compare this trailer from the trailer from another trailer that dropped early or late last week, I think, the Thor Ragnarok trailer, that had a lot in that one.
Oh, that was sick.
It was a great trailer.
I mean, a lot. You saw Thor. You saw Thor. His hammer is gone. You saw Thor in the arena. You saw this and this and this. And you kind of get a basic gist of what that is going to be about. And that was a teaser.
That's the first. And we saw Hulk.
We
saw Hulk, and everybody knew that was
awesome.
Everybody knew he was in it, but we were like, I mean, I didn't think we'd see Hulk in the teaser trailer. But Disney was like, no, fuck, they love Hulk, throw him out there. That's why I'm like a little confused about like, look, everyone wants to see Luke. We've waited for years. And I know there's more trailers coming. You know what I was thinking about? Do you guys remember when you first saw Episode 7's teaser?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. And I know it's a different setting. Like, we hadn't had Star Wars since the prequels and everything. But in that teaser, did we see the Falcon in that teaser?
Yeah, because it went through that that down
AC-18
or whatever.
We saw fallen Imperial ships in the teaser. We saw the Millennium Falcon. We saw we saw all the new characters. We saw all the original characters. And that's what I was thinking about when I was watching this one the second time. Like, man.
Well, we knew who the bad guy was going into the movie.
And all right, so let's take the focus off Luke for a second. No fucking Snoke at all. I mean,
no.
How many Snoke? God, how many Snoke theories? By the way, we're going to talk about that one that I brought up. Did I even bring it up to you? You were gone yesterday. I didn't bring it up to you.
All right.
Oh, then we'll do it on the podcast first time. Drop the bomb. I heard a Snoke rumor, Snoke theory, 2 days ago. Fuck it, we'll just get into it. So 2 days ago, I'm on YouTube, and I've tried really hard, people, this week to stay the fuck out of Star Wars land, and it was so hard because news kept creeping out. But I saw, like 2 nights ago, I saw new Snoke theory, and usually that makes me go, oh, whatever, I'm so fucking over that.
Right.
Is Snoke Anna, and that's where it stopped, and I was like, huh? So I clicked on it, like Anakin, so I clicked on it. This is the theory. It's really interesting. Theory is that Snoke is Anakin's brother. Now hold up. So if we assume that Plagueis or Palpatine created Anakin, which that's a pretty good assumption.
Yeah.
Plagueis is not canon yet, but I mean, there's a very good chance he could be.
Right.
One of those two people is the father. So if you go back to the Plagueis book, which they made a few years back, which is not canon yet, but if Plagueis becomes canon, it will be. In that book, he talks about, somebody mentions that he tried many times to create life and failed. So the theory is he didn't fail. One of those times it worked, but he didn't know it. They didn't know it. Palpatine, whoever. And so this dude was hidden in the outer regions. By who? Don't know. But when he became old enough to understand, like, well, you're somebody special, you can't go near the Empire because they'll kill. And that makes sense. They would kill him in a heartbeat.
Well, that kind of makes sense, because where were they at? They're in that giant quarry or something at the beginning of the trailer. It was all dark, and they're like in a cave or some shit.
Right.
And at the end of the trailer.
Well, if you start thinking about Episode 7, and he's fucking talking to the helmet, and you're like, what do you mean? What does he say? Help me again? What does he say in 7 when he's grandfather?
I'll finish what you started.
Right, but he also says something about help me again to feel the dark side or something like that.
Help me again to feel the dick.
Right, Grandpa. I need it now.
Please, Grandpa.
He makes some mention of, like, you've been helping me, is what it's implied, and I need help again. And I remember, because in the theater, I remember going, what the fuck? Anakin's not helping you, is he? Like, I remember thinking, like, why would... Anakin was a good Force ghost, so why would he be, like, helping you become a Darksider? So if you start piecing this together, I'm not saying it's true, but whoever tried to create Anakin makes sense. Oh, first time didn't exactly work, so tried it again, but maybe first time it did work. And Snoke grew up, we know that from the books, that he grew up hiding in the outer regions.
He'd be an ugly ass kid, dude.
And isn't it interesting, though?
I'm just saying, that's an ugly baby.
Isn't it interesting that they have the same scar, pretty much?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the same.
They all got that scar.
They all do, actually, yeah. I don't know, man. I read that theory, and you go online and they'll explain it better, but I was like, holy shit.
Dude, there's Jar Jar theories coming back again.
What do you think about that theory, though?
Dude, I don't know. I mean, that's too much.
You think it's too much?
It's too much. They'll have,
liked
flashbacks of Snoke in school. Anybody know the answer? Fuck you, Snoke.
You're not even supposed to be here.
You're not supposed to be here.
You're supposed to be hiding.
You're a mistake.
I don't have any friends.
Your dad didn't want you.
You were it's like that one fucking movie, what is it, the clones, and each clone's a little bit different, and then one's cool, one's cooler, one's dumber, and then the dumbest clone. Multiplicity with Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton, that's right.
Yeah, you get the cool one, and then the soft one, and the dumb one, like, that's Snoke.
He's the one that didn't exactly work out.
Like, Snoke's over there eating candles
again. Is like, he's slobbering all over himself. Can we put him on a ship and send him out to the outer regions? Don't tell anybody this happened. This is Star Wars form of abortion.
Yeah, instead of the woman.
What the fuck is that? Put him on a starship. Or, no, a space, what do they call it? The pod. Put him on one of those fucking pods and hit the button.
The one with Yoda?
Pod. Yeah, put him on. Hurry! Hurry! He's looking at me. Put him on the escape pod. Hit the fucking exit button.
For the love of God, get rid of this thing.
I was like, no! But seriously, man, we got no Snoke. I mean, there might be Snoke voices. I don't know. That's one thing I'm gonna go back and like fucking study is what I heard. It was almost like there was more Easter eggs in the sound. You know what I mean? There was a lot of. Did you notice that?
It was like
Ralph?
Ray's flashback a little bit.
There was a lot of voices. Let's talk about what Jeff thought.
Oh God, Jeff's in it now.
Jeff saw. By the way, Jeff.
He's drinking Red Bull?
Jeff, no.
Smoking cigarettes?
No.
What the fuck, guys?
Not soon.
Soon,
He
very
will take
soon.
your place at my side and fulfill your destiny. No, Jeff watched episode 7 a few days ago.
Yeah.
And then I told him I bought Rogue One. And then I did some laundry at your mom's.
I've been telling you to do that for the year.
And he goes, hey, you got that movie? And I go, what movie? And he's like, that other Star Wars movie. And I'm like, the one I just bought? And he's like, yeah. And I go, yeah. I'm like, you want to borrow it? And he's like, yeah, just bring it with you. I'll watch it in the camper. He did.
He's trying not to let him
And I started laughing. And he's like, what? I'm like, nothing, man.
He's trying to play cool and shit. I'll watch it in the camper.
Yeah.
Don't even go to the house. Just walk around by the camper.
So I gave it to him, right? And I'm doing laundry and stuff. And I'm like, where's Jeff? Everyone's like, he's out on the camper. She's like making dinner. He's out on the camper. He lives out there now.
He's got the whole Star Wars. He's got all my old toys.
I swear to God, dude. She's like, that's his house. This is my house. He sleeps in that bed. I sleep in this bed. I was like, oh shit, the camper just totally divided you guys.
See what happens?
And she's
Star
like,
Wars.
and she's like, and now he's out there watching Star Wars. I'm like, I broke their marriage up yesterday. I'm like, I'm sorry. And she's like, it was funny, dude, because then she's like, no, it's fine. You know your mom. Yeah. And then I was going to go have a cigarette, and she's like, oh, Jeremy, you want to go, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm going to go have a cigarette. And she's like, oh, okay. And I went outside, and I'm smoking, and I knew Jeff was in the camper watching Star Wars. I'm like, fuck this. I put my cigarette out, I went in there, and I sat down, and we're sitting there watching Rogue One, and pretty soon Joe comes in. And Joe's like, oh, sweet, Rogue One. And Joe sits down. Jeff's like this, man. He's got his feet up. He's got a beer. And the door swing. We're all like this. And the door swings open. And she's like, aha! Star Wars, right?
Like, oh God, Emperor alert, Emperor alert.
Jeff like puts his feet down and tries to hide the beer.
Yeah, come on in. No, it's just a trailer for a movie.
Dude, I felt bad because like my laundry's in there and your mom's like making pizza and she's like, I guess I'll just bring the pizza out here. Nobody said no. We're like, okay. She brought the pizza out there, dude. We just sat there. Awesome. We sat there and watched Rogue One. But anyways, sorry about your divorce, Jeff. Sorry about your impending divorce.
Dude, as soon as you start getting to Star Wars, the marriage is over, bro. Alright? I love Star Wars.
Here, I can attest to that.
I love Star Wars, but as soon as I saw episode 7, boom, cops at my house. True story. True story.
They're like,
and then Doctor Strange saved it a little bit, but you know how that went.
They're like, are you a dark side user? Come with us.
Come with us.
I'm just a smuggler!
That's what we're looking for, is a smuggler.
This is the smuggling you're looking for!
Oh my God. It's like, it's because I'm Mexican, right?
So Jeff saw the trailer today at work. That's how much he's into it now.
Oh, he's starting to be like
and that scene where they show you, there's a lot of like helicopter scenes or far off scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And that scene where they show you, it looks like she's training. You see the lightsaber blades.
Yeah.
And it looks like there's a person right next to her. And I figured it was Luke. The second time I watched it, or Jeff watched it with us, Josh's like, that's Yoda. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, look. There was 3 silhouettes on that.
You think it was the Force Ghosts?
It's really fucking interesting, man, because there's 2. There's like, she's standing there with her lightsaber, and there's another person next to her, or it's a statue. I don't know. It looks like a person.
Right.
And then a little bit far off, like Yoda would be, kind of like watching from a distance, is a smaller person. And Jeff's like, that's Yoda. He also said the hand, when you see that, which is pretty fucking cool to see the Jedi symbol on that book. He's like, that's Yoda's hand! And you only see like a little bit of the thumb, and then it cuts away. He's like, oh, that's Yoda. I know, I know karate.
I know Taekwondo.
It's basically the Force.
It's the Force. Dude, that would be cool, though, if they bring back all these Force ghosts, because they need more help to take on the, what is it? What do they call it? Not the Empire.
First Order.
The First Order.
Yeah, man. We haven't been talking Star Wars, but, like, you and I haven't.
Yeah.
There's new walkers.
Is there?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Gorilla walkers?
Yeah, they're called gorilla walkers.
What are you laughing about?
That's what I call them, too.
I was going to go back to work like, hey, I got a new name for you guys.
Hey, guys. I thought gorilla walkers.
They're like, oh, Star Wars, right?
Star Wars,
All right.
Star Wars, dude, seriously. I love Finn and Lando, bro. We're cool. Mace Windu. Motherfuckers, that's right.
They're like, what about Mace? Oh, yeah.
Mace.
Mace in the house.
Yep. Black was a good choice for Vader's colors.
So there's new walkers. We also know that there's speeder bikes coming back.
I've seen that. That looks sweet. Oh, is that what those red things were with the red smoke coming in the back?
I don't know what.
Yeah, I don't know what
those
those
look
were.
pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's if you look. I know you're gonna watch it again. Yeah. In that scene, if you look on the horizon, you see the walkers. They're giant.
Nice.
Giant gorilla walkers.
They're always the biggest ones in the group, dude. The gorilla walkers.
They're like, don't get next to its fifth leg. We gotta take them down, but don't get near the fifth leg.
Get all the white women out of here. Here comes the gorilla walkers.
They'll blast you with the torque line. Proton torpedo.
Oh, shit. Just kidding, Calvin.
Please,
Please, I can't do it. All right, gentlemen, my time is up.
All right, man, it's good having you.
Just like Han Solo.
Wreck-It Ralph is out.
Gotta go hit the Falcon.
All right,
hey,
man.
what are you doing? What are you doing here, anyways?
I don't know.
You
I
lost?
say Indiana. What the fuck, bro? I got off work at TA and I ended up here on a Friday.
Hey, if you're around this weekend, man, give me a call or something.
Yeah, I'll be out here tomorrow.
All right.
For sure.
Text me, call me.
All right, Nate, come to Jeff's house.
All right.
Good seeing you, Ralph.
All right, guys.
Peace out.
Wreck it out.
All right, that was Wreck-It Ralph, ladies and gentlemen.
Just this or yours?
That's mine.
Okay.
So yeah, as we were saying, yeah, that
douchebag, like you're saying. Now we can go back to where we were going with this.
But yeah, there was the scene in the trailer where it looks to be a new type of ground vehicle.
Yeah, they're badass looking though. Whatever it is with the like vapor trails that it's leaving behind.
Right, it was like leaving like a red trail for some reason.
What do you think? Do you think that's First Order, or do you think that's?
Well, if it's walkers in the distance, it's got to be the Resistance or
we've kind of
something.
We've kind of talked about this, like, and I've had the same thought that I kind of hope that they show some more rebel technology. Right,
and you figure the rebellion has had to have upped their ante. There's got to be some new vehicles.
The Resistance. Why do we gotta call them that? They're the rebels.
Right.
I'm fine with, and I guess, I don't know, I'm fine with the First Order. I don't know, this Resistance sounds weird to me. It's kind of like, no, they're still rebels. Like, I mean, I get it, like, they were in power.
I guess they're resisting. They're resisting this new, yeah.
Okay, I guess.
Because the rebellion came about after the Empire had already established itself, and then the rebellion,
and they were rebelling from the Empire.
Right,
I get it.
And now it's the whatever they're calling it now, the new Republic or whatever they're calling it now, now there's this First Order that's coming in. So basically, if you kind of look at it, the First Order are the rebels now.
Yeah,
I mean, if you kind of look at it, they're the rebels now, and the Resistance is resisting them.
Right, and that's kind of an interesting play on things because this universe is like emphatically trying to reverse things, even in the sense of instead of a boy hero, it's a girl hero. It's kind of like the alternate or the polar opposite universe of what the original Star Wars was in a lot of ways. But yeah, I guess that's a good point, man. I kind of thought about that before. Was like the First Order is more like the rebels now, and I think that's on purpose. I think there's a real gray area that they're trying to paint, kind of like Kylo Ren. Like, yeah, he's a douchebag. He killed Han Solo, but there's this piece of you that, at least I think in most people, that kind of want to see him justify himself and redeem himself, and because he's a Skywalker by heritage.
Right.
So you have this like gray area all over the saga of where before it was very black and white, good guys versus bad guys. I guess maybe the prequels kind of played a little bit with like the Jedi were inferior because of their own pride, or
they're
kind of like I guess
arrogance almost.
Arrogance.
They're like, oh, the Sith. That's preposterous. We haven't seen a Sith in 1,000 years.
Let's talk about this for a minute because this is really interesting. It ties into the title and I think where this saga is going. The Last Jedi, and we hear someone say, which you assume it's Luke, that at the very end when he says, "There's one thing I know," is that, how do you say it again? The Jedi must end.
Right.
So,
I don't. You can't really tell who's actually saying it because you see a silhouette of you assume is Luke. Mm-hmm. But you can't see him saying anything. You don't know if that's actually coming out of his mouth or if that's Snoke maybe talking to Kylo Ren and saying, I know one thing, I know one truth. The Jedi must end.
Right, it very well could be.
And it's just a picture, it's a silhouette of Luke.
To throw us off.
Well, yeah, it could throw us off. It could be symbolic, too.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The Jedi must end.
As
you see a silhouette,
Jedi,
a silhouette of Luke.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch it a few hundred more times this weekend.
Right.
And like I said, the audio, I really need to kind of pick that apart. And I'm sure we'll probably do some more dissection when we stumble across things. Oh man, check this out, Nate. I heard this when I was watching it the other day, but. If there is this... Okay, so going back to Episode 7, if Luke is in hiding because he believes... I mean, for a number of reasons.
Right.
But if part of what he's doing on that island was coming to the conclusion, like, coming to terms with something that was very hard for him to accept, basically doing a flip and going... Yeah, I guess the Jedi have to end, because my question is that I want to pose: if that's where they're going with this, why? Why do they believe? Why does Luke believe the Jedi have to end?
Right.
Maybe, and it's not something we have to answer right now, something to think about in the coming 7 months, and maybe come up with an answer.
Or maybe the next trailer.
Or the next.
Maybe the next trailer will reveal a little bit more, and then.
It's just really interesting to me. Like I get like they're trying to go different directions with this saga, but it's interesting to me that you had clear-cut good and bad guys, good and evil, like there is in our galaxy, but if Luke, who is like the Last Jedi, but also Luke believed wholeheartedly in the Jedi Order, and was not a doubter. What happened? You know what I mean? If he has flipped his script, what happened for him to go, fuck this, it's doomed, it's pointless? Or we are actually part of the evil.
And that I think we will find that out in episode 8, because there's another part in the trailer where I think it's the Luke's Jedi Academy burning, because there's that scene where it's that cloaked figure and he drops to his knees like in the Vision, but instead of seeing it from the side, it looks like the camera is turned to the back, and R2 is right next to this person on the right hand side, and off in the distance you just see this complex or this giant building, and it's burning. And then the very next scene after that is you could see it's through the flames. You see 3 dark figures, and it looks like it's the Knights of Ren.
Yeah,
There's something coming toward the camera through the flames, and one of them looked like it was a Mandalorian mask. Or Mandalorian type of mask.
I know the part you're talking about.
Right.
And for the first 2 or 3 times I saw it, maybe even up until you just said this, I thought it was Captain Phasma. That was my initial impression.
Right.
Because there was a shiny mask, right?
Right.
Metallic looking mask. And my impression was, because I did hear she's going to have a bigger role. A lot of people were pissed about her in 7.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So where were you going with it? Before you finish your thought, if that's not the Knights of Ren, there's another thing. We didn't get shit from... If that's not the Knights of Ren were not in the trailer. And I've said too many times, I really think... I even thought for a long time the title was going to be the Knights of Ren. I thought they were going to be... And I'm not saying they're not. Again, this is a teaser trailer.
Yes.
By the time we get the next trailer, we're going to be like, oh, motherfucker! That was so obvious. I remember feeling that way with the Star Wars trailers for episode 7.
Yeah.
But yeah, another thing that there wasn't much of that I thought we'd see in the trailer was some clear-cut... the 2 new characters, nothing. Benicio del Toro.
Benicio del Toro and
Laura Dern.
Laura Dern, yeah.
Not either of them that we know of.
Right.
No clear-cut pictures of them, and I thought for sure we'd see them briefly. You motherfuckers, Disney! Seriously! Seriously, man, it wasn't enough. I needed 3.5 minutes. That 2 minutes was not enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead. Where were you going with that before I totally sidetracked you? That explosion scene and...
I was saying that it looks that I think we'll get a little more context as to why Luke disappeared and went to that...
Ahch-To.
Ahch-To, yeah, that's right. Goes to Ahch-To. Maybe something happens within that Jedi Academy that leads him, or maybe he hears a voice when this is burning down. Maybe Yoda calls out to him.
I was going to say, could it be so simple as Yoda stopped the order, and this wasn't Luke? Alright, so...
Well, no, I'm saying, maybe Yoda, because you figure of all the Jedi, Yoda would be the one with the most knowledge.
Right, more in tune with what's...
So maybe Yoda says, go to this planet. You will find your answers there.
I think that's a good assumption. and we kind of speculated about that months ago?
Because there is a point in the trailer. There are 3 faint voices in the background in 3 consecutive scenes in the trailer. There's a part where they show shots from the movie, and there's a voice in the background. I'm assuming is Luke.
Was this the part
talking to Rey?
Was this the part with the mask?
Yeah. It's part of that. He asked, I'm assuming Rey. He says, "What do you see?" And then it shows a picture of, I'm assuming it's Princess Leia, from the back, or General Leia, whatever she goes by,
right,
looking at a star map.
Goddess Leia.
Goddess Leia. and Rey says light. And when that scene is going on, you hear Leia's voice faintly in the background from Episode 4, saying, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi." The very next scene after that, Rey says darkness, and it's unclear. There's a mask that's broken into pieces, and you can't really tell what it is. I'm assuming it might be Kylo Ren's mask that's broken. Maybe he gets a new mask.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Kylo's mask.
But
it could have been Vader's.
It could have been Vader's too, because the voice in the background is Vader's saying, "You don't know the power of the dark side."
Okay, so if we put this into context, I have no idea about the Leia part, but the Darth Vader part. If we put this in context of that is Kylo Ren's helmet that they're showing, when he says, "You don't know the power of the dark side," is that a little riddle right there? They're showing the helmet crushed, and then Vader's voice saying, "You don't know the power of the dark side." Is that Vader talking about Kylo Ren? Like, you're in over your head? I mean, I know Vader didn't say that, and they pulled it from an older movie.
Right.
But they chose that line specifically for a reason. There's many lines they could have taken. They chose that line for a reason, I'm assuming. I was thinking this when I watched it. If that's Kylo Ren's smashed helmet, and Vader's like, "You don't know the power of the dark side," is it a reference to like, yeah, you're fucking with magic that you don't understand, or you're being played by the power of the dark side, Snoke?
Could be a warning.
Right, and you see his crushed mask being like, "You're going to fuck yourself up if you keep doing this." I don't know. That was one thought that I kind of had. Like I said, I think it is Kylo Ren's helmet, but it might not be. Maybe Vader wasn't answering him, and he's just, "Fine then!" You know, we know he's prone to tantrums. "I'm breaking up with you!
Why won't you talk to me?"
But, yeah, there's a third voice.
Yeah, and then the very next scene after that is what I'm assuming is the original Jedi temple on Ahch-To. Mm-hmm. It looks like a old like a table. It looked like, and the voice in the background is Yoda, but you can't make out what he's saying. I'm assuming probably something from Episode 5 or something. Mm-hmm. But it's Yoda saying something. And then it shows the Jedi symbol on this book or on this table or something with a hand coming in from the right-hand side of the screen. But you can't see a lot of it. It looks like a glove or something. It looked like the stitching on the outside of the glove, you know, that you see sometimes.
Yeah, it was...
It was very, very brief, and you can't really see a lot of it.
On purpose.
Right, obviously.
I thought that was a really cool part, though. I like very much, and I guess in a way it appeals to the Indiana Jones lover in me. I like how they're using artifacts from the past.
Harrison Ford comes in, "This belongs in the museum."
Right. I'll take that. But I like that aspect that they've taken. It's a really cool way, I think, of incorporating the past into the future, of taking these objects that they're... We don't know who found that book, but, you know, we know Kylo Ren and the First Order has been searching out for objects of the dark side. So, does that mean that there are powers there are force powers in certain objects? I mean, they kind of led you to believe that was 7 almost, like the lightsaber, and I know it was very much like an Excalibur moment. That's what it was. That she's the one.
She pulled it from the proverbial stone and everything.
But I think that's really cool. So if we think about what the fuck is that book? Maybe that book. I mean, now we're going to crazy speculate for a moment, but that's what makes this fun. That's why we're doing this.
Right.
What if that maybe Yoda did tell him to go there, right? And maybe that scene is him telling Rey the story of when I got here. I went to the temple and this is what I found, and you know, and maybe he's even like showing it to her. Maybe it's not a flashback. Maybe he's telling her the story and blah blah blah.
Right.
And you know, she's like, I have to be a Jedi. You have to train me to be a Jedi. And he's like, no. Nah, I'm not going to do that because... And she's like, what do you mean you're not going to do that? The galaxy needs you. The galaxy needs Jedi. And he's like, no, the galaxy doesn't need Jedi, and this is why. And this book, maybe Yoda led him to this book. And maybe this... Oh, my God, dude. What if it's the prophecy?
Or Book of the Prophecy.
Oh, my God. It's got to be. It's got to be. Think about it. Disney is wrapping up all the loose ends. We've already seen them doing that. The plot holes in the saga. They have been doing that. It's not necessary for Jar Jar. He doesn't exist. Don't waste your time. But you know what I'm saying? Like Rogue One, you know, how that fucking weakness get in the Death Star. We're gonna explain it. So when people keep speculating about who the fuck is the Chosen One, what is the prophecy? Where did they get it from? Where is the prophecy? Because we don't really get much about the prophecy. We just hear them speculating a couple times. Like the prophecy said, oh yes, but the prophecy might have been misread.
Right.
So where the fuck who wrote the prophecy and where is it and how'd you get, like, you know, it's gotta be it, bro. It's gotta be it.
It'd be a good guess.
Yeah, that's for sure my best guess. That just popped in my head right now. But yeah, he's like, maybe he's even explaining to her the Chosen One, you know, and maybe he's like, it might be you. Maybe she enters the scene and he's like, yeah, I don't know, like I thought it was Vader, you know, I thought it was my father, but look at the galaxy now. So maybe it wasn't, and I need you to read this. I need you to see this, because it could be you. And, you know, because, alright, go back to 7. Yeah, we see her, at the end, jump in the Millennium Falcon and wholeheartedly go find Luke Skywalker. But she wasn't on board with the Force most of the movie.
Right.
And even at the end, I mean, it was a reluctant battle. I mean, she was kind of like, basically fighting for her own life. It wasn't like she wanted to do this.
Right.
She alluded to that a few times. So, what if, they're picking right back up. Episode 8's basically picking right back up where we left off. We know that.
Yes.
So, what if she's kind of still in that mindset of like, yeah, I know I have some sort of gift, what you guys call the Force, but here's your lightsaber. I'm going back to wait for those people.
Right. That's going to be so anticlimactic. She hands him the lightsaber at the beginning and says, here you go. I don't want this shit. And
right.
Takes off.
Right. Because we left off with 7 thinking, oh, she's on board now. Like, she wants to learn. She knows she's something. Maybe she's not completely on board. Maybe she's like, well, I found the map, and I found you, and this is yours. And it's weird. It's possessed or something, and I don't want it anymore. It's talking to me and shit, and I can't. Every time I put it down, it flies back in my hand. Please take this. And I'm going back to fucking what's the planet? I always want to call that Tatooine. What is it?
Jakku.
Thank you. Tatooine's twin sister, Jakku. But yeah, fuck that book. I'll bet you, dude, that there's a lot to that book.
There's something on that planet. There's something that drove him there.
Yes,
for a specific reason,
yes,
and we're gonna find out what it is.
I agree that there is something very special about that location because A, it's where Luke decided to go, so it's got to be special. B, the movie ends right there. C, the next movie isn't going to jump ahead. They're like, no, this place is important. We have to start it back up at this place because it's important. D, because that book. I mean, they show you a little glimpse of that. I mean, there's something on that planet.
There's something there. We don't know if it's a book. We don't know if it's a scroll, if it's a tablet. Right. It's something. I know in that one scene, all you really see is the Jedi symbol or the Jedi Order symbol or whatever. But that's all you see. So it could be a mural, like maybe like an early caveman-ish writing, like a hieroglyphic, not a hieroglyphic, but like a painting on the wall that, this is the Jedi Order.
Yeah,
this is how the Jedi...
It could be a cave wall. It's not
became
Yeah, we don't know that.
Right, we don't know exactly for sure, but something.
But I do know that I've read from numerous sources that is the site of the first Jedi Temple.
Right.
So,
which would make sense.
Yeah. That there is something there that is going to reveal more about what the Jedi are. And so this is where I was going originally with this thought about the book and Luke changing his ways and whatnot. The quote-unquote book, whatever it is. What if that book or cave drawings, writings, whatever, what if it's basically like saying, kind of like what every religious text says, or even like modern day ways of governing government, there's a time limit. The Bible says, here's the stories that happened.
Like the Mayan calendar, almost.
Yeah,
it goes up to a certain date.
And then it ends. So maybe he found something that the original Jedi...
Maybe a prophecy of the fall of the Jedi. Or the end of the Jedi.
Or like maybe they put it into place. Like, no one can hold this much power for too long because it will corrupt you. That sort of mentality... Like, we believe in, maybe they had ways of seeing the future, bro. Who knows? Maybe these early Jedi could see into the future and have visions into the future. And they're like, okay, so when it comes down to the Skywalker family, that's the end.
Yeah, what if these early Jedi or Jedi, we don't know exactly, what if they foresaw and mapped out this entire future.
Kind of like the Mayan calendar. That's a good way to put it.
Mapped it all out. So, like... and, of course, obviously, we're just speculating. We don't know exactly how they're going to reveal this or what they're going to reveal. But...
They had to see the future if there was a prophecy.
Right.
Or
something.
They could see the future.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can just picture text or a mural depicting the events that we've already saw.
Like
so maybe you see a little baby, and then you see the baby
that would be so bomb.
Grow up to be Anakin, and then you see Anakin then become Vader, and then you see Vader and the Emperor, and then you see like a planet blowing up. You see a Death Star.
Oh my God! How badass would that be?
And then you see...
How badass would that be?
Right.
For Disney to connect the entire history.
Do all of this, and then it depicts up into... You see this child. Before, see Vader, and then you see the two children, and then you see the two children go off different directions.
Right.
And then you'll flash forward, you see another kid be dropped off by a shadowy silhouette. Maybe they don't reveal who drops off Rey, but it's Rey, and you see Rey grow up, and then you see Rey come in contact with Kylo, and all this stuff, all the events up until the present, and then maybe
it stops.
maybe not even that, but maybe it depicts further. Maybe it shows
without the galaxy without the Jedi or Sith,
or maybe the rest of the prophecy. The rest of it. So, like, they look at the prophet, they look at this mural, and you see maybe it's Rey standing over Kylo's body, defeated. Or you see Kylo standing over Rey. Maybe Rey's on her knees or something, and Kylo's maybe pointing his lightsaber chainsaw thing, looking at her. Or maybe you see a figure that looks to be Luke.
Well, you would have to think Snoke's somewhere on that.
Exactly. Maybe you see the shadowy figure at the very, very beginning, around the first of the Jedi, and then maybe.
Yeah, what if he's one of the? What if Snoke? Oh God, we're going into another Snoke theory. What if Snoke was one of the original Jedi? All right, because we don't know how fucking long he's been alive. Yoda was alive for like 500 years or whatever, or 900. I don't know how long it was, but what if Snoke's been around since? Maybe he can see into the future. Like maybe these early Jedi had ability to see into the future.
Foresight, yeah.
That somehow the modern Jedi lost that ability by themselves becoming prideful or whatever you want to call it, or dabbling in their own quote unquote dark side, even though they didn't. In a way, through pride and whatnot, they did.
Yeah. What if
Snoke turns out to be like, no, motherfucker, I'm just doing the right thing.
Or, well, yeah, that could be. Maybe if he's one of the original Jedi, maybe he stumbled upon a force power that could be considered dark, or maybe the rest of the Jedi considered dark. Foresight. That could be conceived as power. We all know that power leads to the dark side. So that maybe he's like, no, you can't learn that, you can't do that. And he's like, why? Why not? And maybe that kind of corrupts him a little bit.
Right.
So then maybe he gets outcast. Why? We'll kick you. Well, you're out of the order or whatever. So he goes to the dark reaches of space. Maybe there's something he sees in a text. Like maybe there's some power out there. So he goes out there and he just stays out there for thousands of years. Right. And maybe he's immortal.
Right.
So he can live for thousands of years and everything.
Right.
I'm
going to tell you even a step further. What if... some good shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
What if... What if Snoke was a part of the Jedi originally, and then, he can live... Maybe not immortal, but can live for thousands of years or whatever. Like they all could. And maybe he stumbled upon something, some sort of dark power, that he wiped out the Order.
I was just going to say maybe he wiped out the rest of the Jedi.
Right.
And then he's the last
Jedi. Ooh! Right there, pound that shit.
Maybe we're looking at this all wrong.
See, man, I've been waiting for the flip. There's a just like in Empire, no, Luke, I'm your father, and you're like, what? And at first, Luke's like, fuck you, no, you're not. But by the time Return of the Jedi, he's trying to get Luke to come with him. Luke's trying to get him to resist, and turn away from the... What if it's that... We're waiting for that key moment of like, oh, shit! Everybody thinks, it's Rey's parents. No, that's important, yes. But maybe it's not the big thing that we think it is, the big plot turning point in the saga.
Right.
Maybe it is that, hey, what you thought was the dark side is not necessarily the dark side, and what you thought were the good guys, not necessarily the good guys. They could play it that way.
They could.
And Luke could be like wrestling with himself, like, are we the bad guys? You know, am I the bad? Am I the last? Am I doing what I should not be doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And doesn't want to help anyone at this point because he's like, I don't know. Every time I help someone, maybe I'm hurting the galaxy. I think I should do this because of what I was taught, but I don't know. But that's some interesting shit because we all know when that title came out, like, man, that's a really mysteriously vague title.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's spelled Jedi like we've come to know,
right?
But maybe that's misleading.
Well,
because if you spell it somehow, if you spell it the original way, it's spelled differently.
I think it's Jeddi.
I think so, yeah. So they do that as kind of misleading. So maybe Snoke is the last of his kind, of the Jedi.
Right.
And he's the last one.
And that would be a twist.
Right.
Man.
Because the rumor is that him, Luke, and Snoke talk to each other in episode 8. That I don't know if it's face to face. I don't know if Snoke reaches out through the Force.
Who now?
Luke and Snoke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's a face to face. I don't know if it's either one reaching out through the Force, but they're supposed to talk. And the rumor is Snoke is supposed to tell Luke about Anakin. What he could say that maybe Luke doesn't already know about Anakin.
Right.
I don't,
It'd be, I'm gonna have to do, like, some homework on, like, I know it's not canon yet.
Right.
I'm gonna have to do some homework on, like, the history of the Jedi. And did they have the Sith back then?
Yeah, there were...
Were they called the Sith?
There were... I want to see if I remember this correctly, because I've seen this a couple times. I think it was a group of... And, of course, I'll have to correct this next week if we talk about Star Wars or something else blows our mind. It was like a group of, like, space pirates that descended on this planet, and they were, like, original Sith on this planet. And then they kind of they fought back and forth, and I think the Jedi came and helped the pirates or the original Sith or whatever, and basically centuries and centuries and centuries these pirates and the Sith kind of blended together to kind of create this new Sith that we've come to know, after right. A few centuries and everything. So yeah, yes and no. I know. I think they were part of the same group, but the Jedi focused more on the light and the Sith kind of focused more on the dark, so they kind of went their separate ways. They went to each planet. Mm-hmm. I can't remember the planet's name off the top of my head, obviously. Again, we'll have to do more research on that, but the Jedi had their own planet, the Sith had their own planet. And they had skirmishes throughout the centuries with each other back and forth, and everything. And then the Jedi slowly turned into the Jedi when they joined the Republic, and then all this stuff and blah 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 blah. And of course, the rest we know is history.
I was just watching Rogue One the other day, and really kind of caught my attention. I mean, the true character is badass. I love him. But when you first see him, I was watching it with Jeff, so it was kind of cool. Like, I was like, oh, hey, wait, here's the karate guy. You're going to like him. And he's like, he's blind, right? I'm like, yeah, he's badass. And, that scene where they're in the city of Jeddah or whatever, Jeddah. And they start... he starts talking. He's like, oh, it says something about her necklace. And he's not looking at her. And she's like, are you talking to me? And he's like, oh, yeah. And so when they walk away, she says she's talking to the guy, Carlicio, whatever the fuck his name is. What's the fucking...
Cassian.
Cassian, good call. So Cassian's explaining, like, that's where they meant the Keeper of the Wills. That's that. Remember the Easter egg? Okay, so
Right.
To refresh everybody's minds, the Keeper of the Wills was George Lucas's original term for the Jedi in the movies.
Right.
And we don't know much about them, but that's a big Easter egg. And basically, Cassian tells her, like, they used to protect the temple, and that was, like, their whole life.
Right.
And now that there's nothing to protect, they're just a pain in the butt. It's basically what he says.
Right.
So, we don't know much about... First of all, we don't know much about the Keeper of the Wills, and where they're canon, you know, but we don't really know, and we don't know if we're really going to get any more explanation about the Wills. We might in the future episodes, we might not. If they're going to be talking about a lot of history, going back and talking about the history of both orders, it's a good possibility they'll come up again.
Right.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I want to see a lot of history explained. The more we talk about it, the more I'm like, yeah. You know, one of my major complaints with the prequels was the prophecy. That I remember saying it when I was, like, walking out of the theater. Like, I don't understand. Like, you telling me they fucking don't know the prophecy? Like, they alluded to it before that. It was in episode 3 that they have that debate, I think.
Yeah, wouldn't you think that this all-important,
It's
all-powerful prophecy wouldn't be written down somewhere? Like, they would have an actual log. This is the prophecy.
Yeah, like they do with when you walk into the library in the galaxy.
You know,
like, what do you need to know?
Right, like some schmuck could have walked right in and says, I have a prophecy!
Right.
This kid will grow up and kill these kids, you know, and all this stuff. Like, there's got to be a reason for the prophecy, and it had to have been recorded.
Yeah.
And then, if it's, I wouldn't say the core foundation of the Jedi, but like, this is an important piece of lore.
Huge.
I mean, basically, the entire universe this current universe is encompassed with this prophecy.
Absolutely. It's more important than Death Star. It's more important than lightsabers. It's the shit. Like, without this prophecy...
It's the reason why Qui-Gon Jinn started and fought hard for Anakin.
Right.
Because his midichlorian count was so off the charts. He's the chosen one.
Right.
You know?
Well, it just made me think, like, okay, I don't like to speak for you. I don't know how to read hieroglyphics. Most people don't. When you read a textbook, modern day textbook, young kids, they read about Egyptians, you know, it's what they teach you in school, and you get a couple paragraphs about here's the Egyptians and this is what they believe, blah blah blah. Moving on. But if you knew how to read hieroglyphics and you went your ass to Egypt and looked at some of these pyramids and shit, these sculptures and stuff that they made, you would probably read a lot of history and stories and shit that you're like, oh, they never told me that. Like, oh wow, I'm
sure there's a lot of stories in there that are not in the textbooks, right, that are not common knowledge.
Right. So this I was just thinking, like, okay, so the modern day Jedi, hundreds, thousands of years later, they're like, yeah, you know, the prophecy, or that vague thing that we don't really know much about. It's a little weird, but it's not really so weird. I mean, if you put it in context of our world, you know, I'm a Christian, I have a Bible, I read it and I go by it, but there's a lot of vague stuff in it. I don't have a temple I can go to and go, oh, this is what it means.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, that's really interesting. I don't know why, there's so many things. This universe is really good at, look at this hand, look at this hand. Oh, wait, we got you with this hand. You know, there's so many things after 7 that we were like, what the fuck's with Kylo Ren? Who's Snoke? Who's her parents? What's going on with Luke? And really, that might just all be like cream puff. Like, what you really need to be focusing on is prophecy.
Is the cake itself,
Right.
not the frosting.
Right.
Frosting's over here.
Yeah, we distracted you with the sugar.
Take the frosting off, and then you get to the
there's
cake.
The layers on the inside of like, the thick layers of what's really going on. And man, it's just kind of amazing to me, being the Star Wars fan that I am, that it takes until you see this trailer and you're like, oh shit, maybe that's the prophecy. Why wasn't I thinking about the prophecy? You know, I have not. When 7 started, you know, we're 2 years into this saga, I have not been thinking about the prophecy other than is she the chosen one? You know.
Right, and I guess kind of going back to your point earlier of the kind of the letdown with the trailer, like we didn't get to see Luke, we didn't get to see a lot of this stuff and everything. Maybe they kind of did that on purpose to get people to talk, to come up with theories like this. Yeah. It's like, okay, where are they going? Okay, well, I think they're gonna reveal this, and they're gonna reveal this, and then we're gonna find out this, you know, and blah blah blah, and just kind of get people talking, and more anticipation. For the next trailer, the official trailer.
That's why, Nate, I'm like, fuck you, Disney, because I know they know what they're doing. I know. It's kind of like the smart kid in class, and he raises his hand, and he's like, well, pi equals blah, 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 and you're like, fuck him, man. Fuck him. I know he's right, but fuck him.
The Disney doing the proverbial dick tease.
Yeah, exactly, man. That's exactly what it's But you're right. They dropped some pretty interesting, like, thought-provoking scenes. Not even really scenes, just the dialogue. We were talking about the voices. They put those in there quietly because they know people are going to go back and watch that trailer 100 fucking times to try and find out, what do you say? What do you say? It's brilliant. It really is brilliant.
It is. And of course, we're not professionals. There's probably stuff in that trailer that we've missed, that went over our heads, that we didn't catch, and people like Stupendous Wave or Collider that will pick up and dissect.
Oh, I guarantee you.
Oh, did you see this part?
Yeah.
Well, this means this.
Yeah.
You know, and everything.
I guarantee you, as Nate and I, we dive into the YouTube videos about this trailer, we're going to, exactly what he was saying, we're going to hear things that didn't occur to us, that occurred to other people, and we're going to, oh shit, we need to talk about that. I guarantee you're going to hear more like, hey man, I heard this guy talking about this part in the trailer, and it makes sense. Yeah. They're definitely, they know what they're fucking doing, man.
Or maybe somebody figures out what Yoda is actually saying in the trailer, and then maybe that has context.
I think that part does. I really do that.
They picked Yoda,
first of all,
and he's saying something that has to mean something in that trailer.
Right.
Because you picked a quote from Leia, you picked a quote from Vader, and then you picked Yoda for something.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I think that is that part of the trailer, if not the whole trailer itself, is very enigmatic, very much a riddle. I think. What was the part when Yoda spoke? Was it the part where you see the...
Where it seems to be...
The book or the whatever?
At the... I'm assuming it's the original Jedi Temple.
Okay.
On Ahch-To.
And that's when you hear him speak?
I think it's... Because they don't... It's kind of... I think it's like a top-down shot. Mm-hmm. And you really don't see much. And then you hear Yoda, and he's saying something in the background. And then the camera... The very, very next scene is that the camera is up close with this Jedi symbol.
Okay.
And then you just see a hand barely coming off screen, and then it goes right to the next scene.
Right. So the reason I say that is that they chose those people. Okay, well, first of all, let's think about it like this. You know, Carrie Fisher passing away not that long ago. Everyone still fresh in our minds. We know the trailer's coming. Can't wait to see Princess Leia. Like, you know, the first and I think only time we see Leia in the trailer
is from behind.
Is that one shot when all of a sudden you start to hear the talking.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those shots are very important. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to study the fuck out of them. But we see Leia standing in front of a map. We see what I believe is Kylo Ren's crushed helmet.
Or a crushed helmet. It's some crushed helmet.
Right. Some dark side users.
Right.
Crushed helmet. And then we hear Yoda speaking when we see the original temple and possibly the prophecy or Bible, the Bible of the Star Wars universe, whatever, of the Jedi, whatever it is. I think they chose those sayings, those characters, and those pictures very carefully. I do. Because there was a point when Leia came on the screen where I was like, oh wow, there she is. And then the next scene with the helmet, I mean, I'm a big Kylo Ren fan, but I was like, oh wow, crushed helmet. I mean, those scenes caught your attention, very much so. And they're kind of like right in the middle of the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna do our homework. We're gonna have theories galore.
Right. And this actually just came to me. I was actually thinking about this while you were explaining that. Maybe Yoda's voice in that particular scene, we're assuming, is the original Jedi temple. What, in the off chance that Yoda was there? Now, we don't know how old the temple is, but we know Yoda lived to be, 900 and some odd years old when he died? That he was actually there at that temple.
Years ago.
Yeah, years and years and years ago, when it was a temple. Mm-hmm. Like we said, we don't know how old this temple is.
Right.
How far back it goes, but we know that Yoda lived till 900 plus years old.
Right. I think I was confusing Yoda and Moses earlier. I really think I was, because people talk about like Moses was almost 500 years old. Anyways, go on.
Right.
Go on.
But what if Yoda was at that temple 800, 750 years ago? You know, if it's that young or whatever. Of course, this is way before everybody else.
Yoda as a boy, as a
young Jedi, a young apprentice. Maybe he was there. Maybe he knows the secret of this place, and he's leading Luke. He led Luke here, and leading him to this temple for whatever reason. But then the question is, why? Why is he leading him there after all these years?
It just made me think about, when you were saying that, it made me think about a theory I heard months ago back that, was it Snoke trained Yoda or Yoda trained Snoke? I don't know. I heard that theory months ago.
Right.
And I can't remember which order it was, but you were talking about this, like maybe Yoda was there, and we were talking earlier about, maybe there were the Jedi, and maybe Snoke was a part of it. Maybe
Yoda knows Snoke.
Yeah, maybe they were master and apprentice.
Maybe.
Holy shit, that would blow you away, wouldn't it?
Right, and then maybe when the Jedi Academy is burned, maybe he hears Snoke's voice. And then let's say Snoke is talking through the Force. You know that Yoda has to have heard it. So then he reaches out to Luke and says, go here, because this is where him and I trained.
Right.
And there's something on that planet that you need to see.
Of Snoke, or that explains more about Snoke.
Maybe we get backstory on Snoke on this planet.
That would almost make sense.
This is who Snoke is. This is why.
And at the same time,
this is his fall.
At the same time, you're getting the backstory. If you go back to like him being a Jedi in the beginning, you're getting the history of the Jedi and who Snoke is.
Right, or maybe, yeah, right. Maybe he was one of the original Jedi, or maybe he was one of the original Jedi with Yoda. And then maybe he falls off. Maybe he stumbled upon something to gain him immortality. Mm-hmm. and maybe that's why he's lived for this many years.
But if
so let's take this position and that Yoda was the master and Snoke was the apprentice, or vice versa. Maybe Snoke finds out about this power of immortality or something, and he offers it. Hey, I found this out, Master Yoda, or and says, here, I want to teach it to you, or let's learn this together. And Yoda, knows what his lifespan is, says, no, I've got no desire to learn that, because that was one of Yoda's qualities, was that he knows that he had such a long lifespan, so he never had an urge to seek more power.
Right.
That was why he was such a staunch light side Jedi or light side user.
Right.
So then maybe that kind of pissed off. He's like, oh, I don't want to die. I don't want to die, so I'm going to learn this. And then that kind of led to his fall.
Wow.
He gets expelled.
Brain, yeah.
And then he goes off. Maybe he finds more dark side artifacts in this other region, or maybe he's gone to other planets and collected a bunch of Sith artifacts.
Maybe, I'm just throwing this out there, along the same train of thought that Snoke and Yoda know each other. Maybe Snoke. So whatever happened to Snoke, he went bad, and Yoda knew that, and Yoda was like, maybe the prophecy is because of Snoke. Maybe the balance of the Force is Snoke's the one side, and whoever this chosen one is the other. Maybe something happened. Maybe we find out the history of Snoke, and you go, oh, fuck, like, he's way powerful. Like, was going to take, so powerful he could take the galaxy out, kind of thing.
Right.
And in the prophecy, and the Force resurrects something. We thought that the prophecy was there had to be someone to stop the Emperor.
Right.
But maybe all this time there was a hidden power, and it was Snoke. Like, far more powerful. Like maybe Palpatine is like a pissant compared to Snoke.
Right. Well, in the extended universe, which we know is not canon, but it did say that Palpatine felt a dark presence in this uncharted corner of the galaxy, the Outer Rim.
That's from the newer books.
Is it canon?
Yeah.
They made it canon.
That's canon.
Okay, so now it's like, okay, so it's canon. So
yeah,
he felt a power out there.
He was sending people out there.
Okay, I didn't know if that was actually made officially canon.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know it was in the old expanded universe.
I thought it was like the expanded universe, and then they changed it to Legends or something. I don't know. But he felt... speaking of Stupendous Wave, alert just came up on my phone about the trailer breakdown.
Sweet.
So there you go. So he felt the presence out there. And then he sent scout ships out there to figure out what exactly it was. And it was unlike a power that he's ever felt.
Right.
So this was beyond Plagueis.
So he didn't send Vader either.
No.
So if he really was like, oh, dude, we got to get rid of this shit over in this outer region because it's bad. So me and you, come on, or even you must go, Vader, and take care of it for me.
Maybe
he didn't do any of that.
Maybe he was fearful that if he sent Vader out there, Vader would then get corrupted and come back and get him.
Right.
Maybe he gets more power out there and comes back and overthrows him. Because if there's one thing we know about Palpatine is that he was a brilliant guy.
Yeah, it was strategic.
Very strategic.
Yes. And he knew all the right moves, and he knew if that was a bad move, I'm not doing it. I won't tell anybody about it, but I'm not going there.
Right.
So it does seem like there was some fear in Palpatine about whatever that evil was, whether he knew Snoke, whatever, by name or by legend or even personally, don't know. But he definitely felt something that was so powerful it scared him, that it could take away his power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, it's interesting shit. We just stumbled right into that rabbit hole, like,
Right, and there's so many ways that they can go with this too. I mean, it could turn out that maybe Yoda battled Snoke years and years and years ago, and maybe that's how Snoke got that scar.
Oh shit!
And then he goes off into hiding, so Yoda knows who Snoke is.
Well, if you think about how powerful he apparently is, it would have to be someone very powerful in order to...
And maybe they fought to a draw. Maybe...
But then you gotta explain why he never fucking talked about Snoke. You know what I mean?
Or maybe... Well...
If that happened a long time ago, and Yoda was like, we're not gonna talk about that. There's something out there, but let's just keep killing the Sith and fighting the good fight.
Well, and of course they would have to explain if that was the case. But maybe he thought if Yoda couldn't do it, if Yoda couldn't beat him, then he's not going to send anybody else to fight him, and then maybe end up being corrupt. But who's to say that there's not a Jedi holocron with this information?
Right. Well, I mean, I guess that kind of goes back to the Chosen One philosophy. You can explain it like, if Yoda knew, and he knew, it doesn't matter if all of us Jedi got together and went out there to face that thing, or him, or whether they knew each other personally or not.
Right. But
if Yoda knew there was some sort of evil force out there, very powerful, and, okay, we're assuming that he did know him, they fought.
Right.
And then, okay, even all of us Jedi put together, that entity is so powerful, I don't think we have a chance. But the prophecy says someday the Chosen One will bring balance. So maybe that was Yoda. Maybe if you're going to explain, like, why did Yoda keep his mouth shut about it, maybe that's the explanation. Maybe of, well, Yoda didn't say anything because there was basically no hope. We had to wait for the Messiah figure to come, and then that goes on where you can now carry on like, oh, so is it Luke? Is it
because
Ray?
There's a reason why they brought back Yoda for Episode 8.
Yeah,
there is a reason
for sure,
and maybe that reason is that his nemesis Snoke finally revealed himself to be still alive and calling the shots.
And he's got his hand on a Skywalker,
right? And so now Yoda has to reach out to Luke and say, you need to go here. I will explain it to you when you get there.
Yeah.
You need to prepare for this.
What if, like, he sees these hieroglyphs or whatever, because Yoda brought him there to see all this, and he learns this history, and basically, like we were saying, like, which would be Disney, if you're listening to this shit, throw a scene in there of some cave walls with Darth Vader's face on it. Holy shit.
Mind blown.
Orgasmic all over the place. I'm telling you. That would be so fucking cool. But, what if... Fuck, where was I going with this? I got distracted. Oh, okay. So you're seeing these pictures on the cave wall or whatever in the book, and it's showing, like, history and foresight into the future and stuff. And, okay, so we come to the Chosen One. Maybe you see a question mark. Or maybe you see, like, two children. Maybe you see two children. And maybe Snoke's got his hands on Kylo because he didn't know where Rey was. Alright, so now that Rey's out in the open, this is the perfect time for Yoda to come forward and be like, okay, look, it wasn't Anakin. I don't think it's you. It has to be one of these two. And I don't know if it's him, I don't know if it's her. So you have to save him too. That would be an interesting take on it. Like, we can't kill him. You know what I mean? Like, we have... Like, he might be... What if Luke is explaining this shit to her, and he's like, so, basically comes down to, it's you or him.
Right, and we still don't know what Kylo Ren's intentions are.
No, we really don't.
Because we go back to episode 7, when he's talking to Vader's mask, he's like, I will finish what you started.
Right.
What did Vader start?
The destruction of the Jedi. That's
Not I will finish what you and your master started. What you started.
Right.
What exactly...
What did he start?
What did Vader start?
And maybe we learn about that, Nate, when we go to the castle.
Right. Maybe there's something there.
Something he was hiding from the Emperor. Hiding from everyone.
Because we know that Vader was working behind the Emperor's back.
Yes.
He wasn't buddy.
No, there's stories, there's comic book stories that are canon and such. But even without that, we kind of know, like, yeah, like there's an allegiance because he has to, but But
there's not an 100%.
Right.
Like,
well, and that's
I'll work with you for now.
That's just the Sith way too, though.
Right.
Like, yeah,
until I get powerful enough to overthrow you.
If I can find a way to get rid of you and take power myself, I'm gonna do it. That's the Sith mentality. But for now, I'm good with number 2. For now. But I'm plotting for number 1, bitch. But maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it was something... Maybe Vader was... Maybe he was trying to redeem himself.
They find a stasis pod in the castle and it's Starkiller.
Right.
Yes, Starkiller, yes. Right, so... There are so many questions still with episode 8. If this trailer has done anything, it has further increased the appetite to learn more, to know more, to see how this is going to pan out. It's looking like we're going to get some major space and ground battles in this one as well. They kind of showed a couple of those briefly in the trailer. A space battle that looks amazing, and a possible start of a ground battle with, in the distance, you kind of see what looks to be walkers, and it could be the new type of those walkers, those guerrilla walkers. So, kind of looking forward to that. But
yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing some of the new ship.
If it's anything on the scale of Rogue One, I think we're going to be in for a real treat. I hope it's... I know the ground battle is supposed to be in a drawn-out battle sequence. I'm hoping the space battle is kind of along the same way.
Yeah.
I'm just speculating because we're supposed to see Kylo Ren's TIE Fighter Advance 2.0.
Right.
We don't know what it looks like.
Right.
There's supposed to be new type of bombers, First Order bombers. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming some First Order capital ships, maybe some repurposed Star Destroyers, or hell, maybe even new types.
Right.
And I'm assuming the Resistance or the Rebellion or whatever the hell you want to call them, they've got capital ships too.
Well, that's
and new fighters. So why? Well, we know they're X-wings.
Well, that space scene that we see in the trailer, there's some new ships in that scene.
Right. They don't show a lot.
No, you get to see enough. They're like coming at each other.
You see TIE fighters, and you see fighters. I'm assuming some of them are X-wings. They can't all be X-wings.
Right.
And then it shows an X-wing blowing up a TIE fighter, and then that's pretty much it. There's like a couple of capital ships, but you can't tell exactly what they are.
Yeah.
and then it's just bang, 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 and then it's on to the next scene. So
those ships those larger ships in that, excuse me, that larger ships in that space scene that we see in the trailer, you think they're Republic ships? Or Resistance ships? Because they're different looking.
They kind of had that...
They almost have that Tantive.
Yeah, kind of almost. They didn't look Imperial.
Right.
They didn't look repurposed Imperial.
Right. Like the Resistance seems to be loving to do.
Right. They like to take their designs, which, I mean, I don't blame them. I mean, the Imperials were highly technologically advanced over the Rebellion.
Sure.
For obvious reasons. They had the money, they had the resources, and everything.
And let's be honest, it brings back goosebumps to see the same ships.
Right.
That's
the nostalgia.
The nostalgia of it all. That's on purpose, for sure.
Right.
I just was going to mention, like, the scene we were talking about a little bit earlier with possibly 3 people on that cliff.
Right.
So we know we see Rey in that scene. Because it's really far away.
Right.
Is that the blue lightsaber she's using?
It looked like the blue. It looked blue.
That's what I thought too. And she's like swinging it, but we don't really know what she's swinging it at. Do we?
Right. It could be a train. It could be one of those training things. Like, it could be... What it looked like is it looked like the start of that scene where it kind of goes behind, like around the mountain, and then you kind of see off, and then probably the very next scene after that is a close-up of what exactly...
What they're
doing.
Right. I also wanted to mention, I only got a chance at work to watch 2.5 minutes of the trailer breakdown by, I don't remember which video guy it was, but he mentioned when you see the trailer begin and you see her like exhausted and like falling down or whatever, and then you see her later on in the trailer standing and kind of like looking out at the ocean. At that point, the guy in the video was talking about that he had heard there was going to be a sea-dwelling monster of some sort, a large monster from the ocean, and that it was going to be able to use the Force. It can use the Force as power. So there's a rumor that she battles this thing, this Force-using fucking sea monster. Nessie, the Force-using sea monster. And that might be that part, the start of the trailer where we see her on the ground and exhausted from something, apparently. So interesting, so cool that we're going to see Force-using creatures instead of humanoids, alien humanoid characters, or humans themselves using the Force. For the first time to my knowledge, this is the first time. I was just talking about how this video was saying that he had heard that she's going to be fighting a sea monster that has Force powers. And I was like, wow. And I was trying to think about it, like, while I'm working, like, did we ever see a Force-using creature?
I mean, guess it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities.
I mean, alien humanoids, human-like characters have the Force.
Well, I mean,
like
Kit
Fisto,
didn't right?
Or Plo Koon. There were a lot of aliens that had the Force, but as far as like a large sea-dwelling monster that can use the Force, I
guess it's possible because I mean, Qui-Gon in Episode 1 said Metachlorians make all life, make up all of life.
Right.
So I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that a sea creature got a large amount of midichlorians enough to where they became force sensitive.
It's pretty crazy though when you think about it.
Yeah, it is crazy.
This thing jumping out of the water and like she goes flying into the air. You know, like it's got some telepathic fucking force powers. But so anyways, the guy was saying that scene in the beginning that he thought maybe that was part of that scene where she's all exhausted because she's fighting this giant monster. And it's part of her training, is what he said. As part of her training.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
So kind of, I was thinking, is it like Luke's pet? Like Luke found it when he came there and he's like, oh, I'll name you Fido, and every Tuesday I'll throw something out in the ocean and feed you.
This is my pet, Han.
Right. And it jumps out of the water and starts using force powers on her and shit, and it's like part of her training. That could be a pretty cool scene. I don't know where this guy's getting his information from.
Right.
I haven't heard that before, but definitely interesting and thought-provoking.
Right.
Let's see. Anything else from the trailer, man? We're gonna. I guarantee tonight I'll be watching a lot of videos on the trailer.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
And things will come to light, and I'm sure we're gonna talk about it next week a little bit. But there was some other stuff that came up this week. If we're done with trailer talk.
Yeah. I think we've.
We got 7 months to talk about the trailer.
Right. In other Star Wars related news, according to Carrie Fisher's brother and daughter, they have signed off with Disney about having Carrie Fisher in Episode 9. Not CGI. They were going to use footage, possibly from 7 and 8, and incorporate it into 9, or something.
Kind of sounds like they haven't made up their mind yet.
It's a little vague on what they mean by footage.
Right.
Like maybe they could taking other footage from probably 7 and 8, or maybe even going further back.
Right. I was just thinking that, like, and maybe just age her. Can they do that?
I'm sure they
can. We worship the devil. We can do whatever we want.
I mean, if they use footage, then they could use a little CGI to kind of tweak it a little bit, where it's not completely 100% CGI, but it's still stock footage that they have already. And the reason, and her brother went on to explain, is like she's a large part of this universe. And it's only fitting that she ends this trilogy, that she is a part of the end of this trilogy.
Right. That character
it's just
live out her character's full role.
Right. It's kind of, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, a proper send off. Mm-hmm. That she finishes this. Something that she started way back in 77.
Right.
You know.
As long as we're touching upon this for a second, I'm going to throw something in there. This is, much to my surprise, it kind of caught me off guard. I think I heard about it last year. The 40th anniversary.
Yeah, the 40th anniversary was this past Tuesday.
Right. And if you have not checked it out yet, I've only seen 7 or 8 minutes of the clip. It's all over YouTube. The panel they had at Star Wars Celebration. They did
a tribute to Carrie Fisher.
Oh yeah, did you see it?
I haven't watched it yet, but I heard it's
so fucking good, man.
Yeah.
It is. I almost teared up. I really did.
Yeah.
It's really well done. And actually, I didn't know it was part of the panel because someone had put it up as a video, just the memorial.
Right.
And it starts, and it's a lot like if you've ever watched the Oscars when somebody famous died in the industry. It's similar to that. It shows Carrie Fisher's name and her how long she lived, and then it starts showing these. A lot of it is behind the scenes stuff. Some great shit, man. Like like her doing interviews, and then she throws in some Princess Leia dialogue to answer the question, and that happens a couple of times. And at one point, the interviewer's like, "Oh wow, you just said that right off the top of your head, and it's been like whatever 25 years or whatever." And then she's like, "Oh, I can go on," and she just like starts like.
And she just does all the
dude,
dialogue.
It was like, wow, like, and I know they're actors and they get paid millions of dollars to do that, but you know, this is a movie that we had heard most of her life that she was not proud of or didn't really want to be associated with it, blah blah blah. At a certain point in her life, she tried to distance herself from it, but it's there. It's in her veins. It's in her heart. You could tell it was a fun time in her life,
right?
But yeah, man, check that out. Everybody out there, check out the panel. I'm probably gonna watch this weekend because it's so fucking cool to see all of those integral parts up on stage together. You know, they had Hayden Christensen, and Nate and I were talking about how he must be drinking baby's blood because motherfucker has not. Maybe he is the chosen one because the motherfucker has not aged
in 12 years.
Damn good looking older guy, I'm telling you, man. He looks like he's like 23. Hayden Christensen on the stage with all of the new characters and some of the old characters, and George. What little clip I got to see of 8 or 9 minutes was, and they brought him out in segments.
Right.
So it was, Wicket was the host. The
Ewok. Yep.
So he was the host, and they had George motherfucking Lucas. They had Emperor Palpatine, whoever that dude is, Sir, whatever he is.
Right.
Sir somebody.
Right. There were one of and I read kind of a highlights from that anniversary panel that was on Thursday, and he I think it was Lucas that asked him, "Do you know anybody who can play the Emperor, who wants to play the Emperor?" And I guess he came back with, "Yeah, me."
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I'll tell you some parts I had heard from the clip. I watched it, and it was really cool. Like I said, you had Hayden Christensen, you had Anakin sitting next to Palpatine, sitting next to George Lucas, which was fucking cool, man, especially in this day and age of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
But George had asked a couple of questions himself. First of all, they came out, and there's like big cheer, and George says, "Dark Side rock stars," and like the crowd was so loud, like the Wicket had to be like, if you didn't hear George, what he said was, "This panel is full of dark side rock stars," and I was like, that's so kick-ass. But they were talking about, George was talking about Palpatine, and Palpatine was talking a lot. Whoever that guy is, I'm sorry, I don't know him. English actor, great prominence in England, stage actor. Anyways, he's like, he's super nice. As you listen to him talk, he's like so like humble and stuff, and you're like, damn. Like in my head, I was thinking like, he's nothing like the Emperor. And George actually said something about like that, about like, what's crazy is that the evilest guy in the saga that, you know, is always up to no good is actually, in all reality, like the nicest guy I've ever met.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, thank you." He's like, "But you don't know me when no one's around." But it was so cool. What else did they talk about? It was also George talking about what you mentioned, that he was talking about like, I think I could play it. And I think that's what led into him talking about what a nice guy he was.
Yeah.
Because he didn't see that in him, like, oh, I guess you are an actor.
Right.
But check that out, especially that part of the panel. Very cool.
Yeah, I jotted down a couple things, kind of the big ones. I guess Liam Neeson made a surprise appearance.
Did he? I didn't see that.
Yeah,
part.
and I guess he, I don't know the what all he said, but I guess at one point he kind of joked about they were going to make a Qui-Gon movie of based upon something about Jar Jar going to the dark side or something like that. You kind of joked about it's about Qui-Gon following Jar Jar to the dark side or something like that.
That's funny.
And and then Samuel Jackson joined them via video feed or satellite feed. Basically saying that he wanted Mace to come back to the universe.
Oh yeah, he's
he wants back in. So he wants Mace to come back. So whether that will, well, I'm sure it will. It's Samuel fucking Jackson.
Right.
If he wants back in, he's going to get in.
Right.
So.
There's a lot more we're going to be hearing tonight and tomorrow. Celebration is still going on.
Yeah, and no, the Last Jedi panel was today too.
Right.
It was Mark Hamill. I think Daisy Ridley, Ryan Johnson was on there, and a couple of others. The one little thing that I caught from it was Mark Hamill was talking about he had reservations about kind of capturing lightning in a bottle twice, because he was saying the original trilogy had a beginning, middle, and end. And he had concerns about this, and I think he even said he was scared for this new one because he didn't think they were going to be able to do it again. For this new trilogy to have a beginning, middle, and end, that if people might be kind of turned off by that. And he talked to Ryan Johnson about it, and I guess Ryan Johnson, he's like, I know, I'm scared too. And Mark Hamill was like, at that moment, I knew that's the director I wanted to work with.
Right on. I'm a big fan of Ryan Johnson, and I really think he's going to blow us away. I really do with Episode 8. I think it's going to be fantastic. The guy is a visionary guy. Matter of fact, I'm trying to think of the name of the first movie that made him big. I have not seen it yet. I've heard a lot about it, but it was before Looper. It was the movie that kind of put him on chart.
Right.
I'm trying to think of the name of it, but basically it was heralded as a Sundance type movie. It was a very cheaply made movie. His first,
like an independent film almost.
Yeah, and his first movie, very cheaply made, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was basically, the premise was it was like
it's like Monsters or something like that. I think it was the name of it.
Was that it?
I think it was called Monsters, I want to say.
It might have been that simple of a title.
The trailer is fucking weird as shit, because at no point do you see any type of monsters.
Right, it just shows destruction.
It just shows destruction, and then it's these people and they're running from something.
Yeah. I want to get my hands on it and watch it. I really do, because I've heard from numerous people, Kevin Smith and other directors and whatnot, that movie, the way that it was done fantastic. And I've heard interviews with this guy. This guy he's got the smarts. He could be, honestly, and I know this is a big statement, he could be the future Spielberg.
Dude, I was thinking exactly that. I was like,
it's a lofty statement.
And I don't know how old he is. I'm assuming he's a young guy.
He is. I don't want to guess, but I think early 30s.
Right. So he's got his whole directing career, and everything. But if he's hitting it out of the park with Star Wars,
what's next?
That's a huge franchise. If you're knocking that out of the park, then the sky's the limit.
Yeah, and basically they have so much faith in him. This is how highly Disney thinks of him. Disney said, "We want you to finish the saga, not just direct it." He's not going to direct 9, but they were like, "We want you to write the story and then direct the middle episode, which is maybe, in some aspects, the most important episode."
Right.
Possibly. That's where the biggest, probably, reveals are going to be in Episode 8.
Right.
But he wrote 8 and 9. Disney said, "Here you go. It's yours. We have absolute faith in you." And I think the only reason he's not doing 9 is because of previous engagements as far as directing it.
Right.
But that will be handled by the guy that did the not Lost World. I always say Lost.
Jurassic World.
Jurassic World. Thank you. Can't think of his name. Trevor something.
Okay.
Anyways, but yeah, Ryan Johnson. I know, like I said, that's a big statement of he could be the next Spielberg. We've been basically holding our breath waiting for the next Spielberg.
Right. I mean, there are a lot of good directors
Sure,
out there.
man, absolutely. I'm not saying it starts and ends with Spielberg, but as far as a guy that could write about aliens, killer sharks,
That can do multiple genres
and
hit home runs.
right?
Right, which Spielberg obviously can do when you E.T., Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Indiana Jones, Schindler's List.
How much of a wow was Schindler's List?
Right, to go from Indiana Jones and then boom, hit you with Schindler's List.
I was actually not interested in seeing Schindler's List, and I like World War II, but it was kind of mentally in my mind, I was like, fucking Spielberg doing, but it was a great movie. Fantastic.
And Lincoln, one of his more recent, where it was the autobiography of Lincoln.
Oh yeah, I didn't see
with
that.
You haven't seen Lincoln? I'll have to bring that in for you, dude. It is fucking good. It is absolutely
Spielberg
awesome.
Directed?
Yes.
Spielberg
Daniel
directed
Day-Lewis.
a Lincoln movie, and I haven't even
Right.
You gotta let me
Daniel
borrow that.
Day-Lewis played Lincoln. Oh my god, dude.
I mean, I think I faintly remember the movie a couple of years ago, but I didn't know it was a Spielberg movie.
It's a Spielberg movie.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, you gotta let me borrow that.
Yes.
Yeah, 'cause I'm a big Abe fan. I'm a big Spielberg fan. But
And Sally Field played Mrs. Lincoln.
Oh yeah.
Mary Todd.
Yeah.
Mary Todd Lincoln.
It just made me think. We were talking about Spielberg and Ryan Johnson and those big shoes, but we were just talking about Indiana Jones in this podcast, and there's a new Indiana Jones movie coming. Imagine if they gave him that.
Ryan Johnson.
Oh, wouldn't that be fucking cool? Maybe it's in the works. Maybe they're like, well, hey, dude, we're gonna see what Episode 8 does, and as long as everything goes over, you want to do Indiana Jones too?
It could. It's very well possible.
Yeah. I've said this before. I'll tell you again, man. I'm a big Kevin Smith fan. He does a podcast called Smoothie Makers.
Mm-hmm.
If you look it up, there's only about 9 episodes. That he didn't do too many of them. They're all long, hour and a half, 2 hour episodes. Ryan Johnson's almost 3 hours, and man, it is very revealing about who the guy is. And he's a nerd at heart. He is. He loves film. He loves science fiction. And even said, it was probably a year before Disney bought Star Wars, or maybe even 6 months that this is from. And he even said, Kevin Smith asked him, what was the thing that you said, man, I have to do that? What movie made you? And he's like, he didn't even get finished. He's like, Star Wars. He's I love movies. I can sit here and talk about all my favorite movies, and I love them in different ways. He said, but as a child, what put it in my mind of hey, I want to do that. It was Star Wars, and it's crazy, dude. It's crazy that 5 years later, they threw a script or a blank piece of paper in his hand and said, write it, direct it, it's yours. How fucking awesome is that? It makes me want to have dreams again. There's hope. Like Jen Erso said, there's hope.
Right.
But that's a wrap, I think, for the podcast this week. We got plenty to talk about. There are a lot of other things that we didn't even touch upon. Thanos and him being Cable, but we're going to talk more about that next week.
Right.
And a few other things that happened outside of the Star Wars universe. And I'm sure we're going to talk more about Star Wars next week.
Oh, I'm sure. Between the two of us, we'll watch a little more. We'll watch the breakdowns and stuff, and then we'll take. And the rest of Celebration is going on this weekend too, so there might be some more announcements coming.
I have to figure there's some more announcements, and even maybe, and I'm gonna throw it out there for good luck, maybe the announcement of the Obi-Wan movie.
Yeah, it's very well possible.
I heard Collider talking about it's a very good possibility.
Right.
So. There's still surprises. That weekend's not over yet.
Nope.
They're only halfway through it.
Yeah.
But until then,
All right.
same
so
bat time, same bat channel.
Yep, so we will see you guys next week on the next episode of the Nerd Eye Council. Have a good weekend, guys.
Peace.